What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ashley Talks Movies. I'm back with another review. Today I'm going to be talking about The Gentleman, the new film from director Guy Ritchie. So fans of Guy Ritchie will really appreciate this movie, The Gentleman, because it's definitely a return to form for the director whose last project was doing live-action Aladdin for Disney, and that never really seemed like a good fit. But anyway, Guy Ritchie is back doing what Guy Ritchie does best. Now, I will say I do like Guy Ritchie films. Not all of them, most of them. I like Snatch. I like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And The Gentleman is very much like those two films. The basic plot of The Gentleman is this. Matthew McConaughey plays Mickey Pearson. He's an American expat who's built this highly profitable marijuana empire in London. But he decides he wants to get out of the business. So, words begins to spread that he's looking to cash out, and plot and schemes and bribery ensues. For me, The Gentleman isn't great. It has the potential to be a great film, but it just didn't really land with me. I feel like it had more problems than could be forgiven. So one of the problems with the film is the plot. The plot is very convoluted and extremely overwritten. This movie would have been a lot tighter and sharper if some of the dialogue and wordiness in this movie had been cut down. There's so many characters, so many plot points, and so many things happening in this film that at times the story kind of veers off course because it's trying to do too much. Eventually it makes its way back and wraps everything up, but by that time, if you're paying attention, you've figured it all out because it's still very predictable. So all the twists and turns that are put in this movie are not as clever as it would like to be because you can kind of see it coming from a mile away. For me, it was like it didn't make sense for this story to be so convoluted when all these twists and turns in the movie were going to be so obvious. And so the payoff isn't there either. The movie is pretty dialogue heavy. The characters are throwing a bunch of one-liners and jokes and wordplay in there, so that's kind of fun and interesting. And that kept my attention because you really have to pay attention to what they're saying and what's going on. I did like the narrative structure of this movie. I won't say what exactly it is because it could be considered a spoiler, but just how the story unfolds is very interesting, and I liked that a lot because it helps with the whole idea of you don't quite know what's going to happen, but again, as things start to unfold, you kind of figure everything out before it's officially revealed to you, and so it doesn't have that wow factor that you would kind of hope it would have. But yeah, the way it's told is really interesting. There's a lot of flashbacks and time jumps and things like that. The characters in this movie are played by an all-star cast. As I mentioned before, you have Matthew McConaughey, but then there's also Hugh Grant, Colin Farrell, Charlie Hunnam, Michelle Dockery, Henry Golding. Just a lot of really good actors are in this movie, and all the characters they're playing are over the top and ridiculous, and that's kind of the point of the movie. But they do such a great job. Really liked Michelle Dockery in this movie. I'm so used to seeing her in Downton Abbey. So it was nice to see her play sort of against type. Matthew McConaughey is great in it as well. Hugh Grant is great. I think everyone in this movie is really great. So the cast to me was probably the strongest part of this movie. Really enjoyed watching them on screen. So one other thing I'll add about this movie is that it did feel a little long. I think the reason for that is what I mentioned previously about the plot being so convoluted and sort of messy and kind of all over the place, and the story being overwritten. I mean, there are clear moments in this movie where you could have trimmed down like 10 minutes here, a little 5 minutes here, another 10 minutes here, and it would have been a tighter story. I honestly wish this movie would have moved a lot faster than it did because all the elements were in place for this to be like a really high energy movie. Not necessarily a high action movie, just a high energy movie with like all the dialogue being really fast and quick, and those quick cuts and shots and those close-ups that Guy Ritchie does. and then, you know, the slow motion, like it would have worked so much better if it had been a tighter story. Overall, I think The Gentleman is fine, especially if you're a Guy Ritchie fan. I personally didn't think it was great. It was okay. But if you're a Guy Ritchie fan and you like Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, as I mentioned before, then you probably will really, really enjoy this movie because it's basically has all those familiar touches from those other movies, and it's definitely old school Guy Ritchie. So those are my thoughts on The Gentleman. Let me know what you think about the movie in the comment section below. While you're here, please like this video and don't forget to subscribe.